Thanks for joining us at Right On Replicas, where we're proud to bring you the best scale model kit reviews on the planet. This review covers the Dodge Charger SRT8 Super B. It's a 125 scale kit in Revell's number 85-4225 in the Uptown series. These great looking models are out of production, but they're still available at online retailers and auction sites. It's 93 pieces at a intermediate skill level 2, and the pieces are molded in white, silver, gray, black, chrome, clear gray, clear red, black vinyl tires, and with water slide decals. And it's got some nice instructions too. Now the Super B and the SRT8 had a 425 horsepower Hemi 6.1 liter engine, and the paint scheme for this was a detonator yellow with a semi-gloss black. Now this is a 2008 rebox version of the Charger that was released by Revell originally in 2005, and there's also a few variations of the kit produced through 2012. On this kit, the hood, the trunk, and the doors operate, and they use a scissor hinge on the doors. Now the wheels are low-profile tires on large diameter spoked mags. When you're done, it'll be about 8 inches long, 3 1/4 inches wide, and 2.5 inches high. Here is the layout of this kit, and as you can see, it's an open box, and that's what was in it. So this is my version of the open box review. Now that that's over, we'll show you how to build this kit using some liquid cement, super glue, and sometimes white glue. And you'll find that it's important to follow any of the manufacturer's safety suggestions when you use any of the products that you see or hear in the review. Here are the decals for the kit. You can see that the register is good and the colors are just right. It's mostly flat black for all the matted surfaces, but it also has a lot of detail decals which really set off the model. On the larger stripes and the panel decals, I would suggest that you use some of the decal setting solutions available on the market. Construction starts with the interior, and the interior rear side panels are separate, and they'll need to be installed. And then the rear deck panel, the package shelf, needs to be put in place too. Now, detailing this is pretty simple. You can spray the entire interior once it's assembled a semi-gloss black, and then the console gets inserted and attached to the interior assembly on the hump there, and then the shifter is attached to the console and inserted and can be detailed with a little semi-gloss black for the handle. Find the seats and the video panel there, and we're going to assemble the front seats and backs, and then we can attach the TV screen to the console top cap, and then that console top assembly is then painted semi-gloss black and glued into the interior assembly along with the left and right seats. With the glue and the paint dry and everything in place, you can add the decals that provide for video screens on the back side of the seat backs and the flip down video monitor there. Find the pieces for the wheel assembly, and the low profile tires are pretty sharp, and they go along with some pretty easy to use rims which have the hub right in them, so it's just the front portion, so snap those onto the wheels on the tires and put those together, and then you can actually press and roll the tread on a piece of sandpaper that's flat, about a 220 grit, to give them a more authentic look. There are some logos on the bottom of the chassis that you could scrape off with a blade and sand smooth if you're going for a contest build, or you just want it to look more realistic. So paint those semi-gloss black and let them dry. After the chassis was dry, I decided to pick out the mufflers and the exhaust pipes with a little metallizers, an aluminum and then a darker aluminum for the pipes, almost to resemble a steel look. And you can see that it really picks out that detail and makes the chassis look a little more attractive. So let's work with the brakes, the calipers here, and brakes and calipers. We're going to paint the spindle arms black, and then the rotors themselves, of course, are an aluminum color, and the calipers are bright red. Apply the decal to the calipers, and when that's dry, find the axles in the kit, and then go ahead and tap the axles into the front and one of the rear tires. And you may need the light touch of a small hammer to do that. It's pretty tight fit. And then go ahead and place the axle through the opening for the axle housings, and then place the tire on the other end and squeeze those together. Once again, if you have to, turn it on its side with the wheels down, and then tap the tire that you're putting on, and use a little piece of wood or something to cushion it so you don't damage the kit. Next up, we can start working on the main body by prepping it for paint, and also get the windows and the rearview mirror out, and we'll go to work on those. First thing to do is rinse the body in some warm water and light dish soap, and then let it air dry. Once that's done, go ahead and remove all of the extra sprue pieces and braces that are in the doors there, and sand the entire thing, removing any blemishes and parting lines, which are going to be pretty minimal, and get that ready for primer. Now, I used a Testors medium gray primer for this kit. I actually ran into an issue when I started putting my color coats on the primer. It tended to bleed through both Testors paints, but for some reason, I don't know, maybe it wasn't cured enough, but I got a fresh can of gray primer, and I actually stripped this in a bath of brake fluid, got all the paint off, then washed it and redid the entire thing in primer. So I masked the windows with some tape, and gave the front windshield the black surround, and let that dry. And I painted the entire body again with a couple of mist coats of Testors yellow, and then also added a couple of wet coats to give it a nice gloss. Then go ahead and install the windows after the paint has dried with some Testors or some of the clear modeling cement or even white glue. And it's also time to install the bumblebee stripes and the emblems on the car, the decals, and use plenty of warm water and put those into place, and then if needed you could use some of the micro type of setting solutions to make sure they conform to the body, but mine didn't really need it. They went on very well. Also, I suggest that you use a little touch of glue for the rearview mirror. It fits into a slot on the window, but a little touch of glue will keep it in place. But remember, you have to scrape chrome or paint from anything that you decide to glue so that it bonds to the parts. Now we begin work on the doors, which are a unique assembly for this model, being the scissor attachment. So we'll get out the doors and the interior panel and a small speaker for each door, and then of course the mirrors, the exterior side view mirrors, and the door exteriors and interior, and then the mirrors are painted with the gloss yellow paint, and the door panel is painted with semi-gloss black. Now we can go ahead and put the door panel into place after the yellow has dried for the door. Then scrape the glue off the back side a little bit in some contact points to put the speaker into place, as well as some of the paint off of the interior section there where it's fitted. And go ahead and install that with a little dab of liquid cement. And then we're going to let those set and dry. Look for the hood and the hood hinge retainers there, and I painted, I cleaned it up. There's a little flash, and of course the sprue points, so clean those off, and then light sanding, and then spray that again with the medium primer, and then follow that up with some gloss black. And the hinge retainer is painted semi-gloss black. If the hood and the retainer dry, we can install those onto the body. And you just put the hood assembly into place, and then you add the hinge retainer to the body, locking it into position. And there's two screws that are installed into the door hinge retainer and into the body, so you don't need glue there. Now with the doors dry, we can go ahead and attach those to the body assembly, the left and right sides, and it's done with a small screw and washer on each side, and a magnetic screwdriver come in handy here to place that into position. So go ahead and attach those to the body at this time. And so here is what your the body assembly will look like up to this point. And as you can see, even with the scissor doors, this is a pretty easy assembly. Just about anybody with a couple of kits under their belt can put this model together, and it'll look really nice. So find the parts for the dashboard and the steering, and we're going to paint the dashboard a semi-gloss black like the interior. And then decals are used to really make it look detailed. And so those details come on decals 28 through 32. And then you can go ahead after those have dried and attach that to the places on the interior panels where it is installed. And then the number 33 is applied to the console insert there, a video, and then that's attached to the dash. Now the steering column can be installed into the dashboard, and then the steering wheel gets decals 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. And so it's really a pretty interesting looking interior with all that decal detail. The dashboard is also secured into place using a small washer and a screw, just like the doors are. So grab the faux engine here, the cover, and the intake, and we're going to paint the engine cover semi-gloss black, and then the air intake gets attached to the engine compartment top there, and the valve covers get decals number 43 and 44, but be careful because on the sheet two of the decals are marked 44 and one of them goes to the taillight option, so take a caution on that, and go ahead and install the engine plate into the engine bay, and it gets installed with 3 small screws. Well, look for your mounting points here for the interior assembly. It gets attached to the rear window deck and the dashboard, and a small touch of glue would help keep that into place, and go ahead and put that into position. Now we're going to work on the grille and the door mirrors, and the grille gets detailed with some gloss yellow for the crossbars, and then some semi-gloss black, and then once that's dry, install that into the body on the and the chrome mylar mirror stickers. They get applied to both door mirrors. I used just a pair of nice fine tweezers, and I laid them down into position, and then go ahead and put a little pressure on them to secure them into place. And then the headlight area, it also gets detailed with some semi-gloss black. Now we'll work on the headlight buckets here, the left and right, and they get painted in the outside edges with a little bit of turn signal amber for the turn signal lamps. And the left one gets installed into the left headlight recess on the body, and then the left headlight cover is installed over the bucket. And use some Testors clear part cement or some white glue to make sure that it doesn't show up after you assemble it. Now you do the same thing on the right side, and then the fog lights are installed into the body with some clear parts cement. And also I think maybe the fog light base could have been detailed with some silver to give it a little more realism. That's an option you can consider. Gather up these parts for the trunk, the lid and the liner, and then of course we're going to paint the trunk lid there with some primer. Once that's dry, a couple of coats of that yellow paint, and then the liner is painted semi-gloss black, and it gets then attached to the bottom side of the trunk lid, scraping off any paint to make sure that it stays in place before you glue it. Now the assembly can be installed into the body, and the trunk hinge retainer then is attached to the body assembly with a couple of those screws locking that trunk into place. And the hinge retainer should be painted due to the fact that it doesn't sit far enough back so you can see it in there, so it should be painted black as well. Now get the bottom of the trunk, the floor there out, and go ahead and paint that semi-gloss black, and once it's dry, use a couple of those screws to lock it into place in the trunk area. And now we'll finish up on that rear end, and the spoiler here gets of course primed and then painted with some of the gloss yellow. And once that's dried, you can attach it to the trunk assembly. It just goes into a couple slots there. Use a small amount of glue to keep it in place. And then the tail light bucket gets attached to the body assembly, and the left tail light is attached to the bucket with some clear part cement, and the right side the same way. Now is the time to put it all together. So we're going to slide the body onto the chassis and then turn it over and use 4 screws to install and lock the assemblies together. There was a few parts left over in this kit, and they actually belong to a different version. These are pieces for the trunk and rear deck area that include a very large speaker and sound system components. At this point, I added the rest of the decals. You can see the hood decal here, along with a custom plate that I just printed out my logo onto some plain paper, covered it up with tape, and glued it into position for a custom plate. And also in the back end, you can see that the rear deck has been detailed, and the decals have been added there for a nice finished look. Well, there you have it. Your model's complete, and you can probably tell from construction that this easy to assemble kit was derived from a die cast model, especially because it uses screws just like they do for assembly. But it makes for an easy to assemble kit, and it is an outstanding subject matter item. So if I were you, I would buy one and put it on my shelf. Well, we hope you like this premium step-by-step model kit build and review, and so that you don't miss any more, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, but you can find us on Facebook and at our website, rightonreplicas.com. Thanks!